The New York Rangers are looking to trade Captain Cali. CM Punk leaves the WWE. Our final Super Bowl predictions. And these two gentlemen seem to have their footballs confused. All this and more on From My Man Cave. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Carsillo. Welcome to From My Man Cave, a weekly look back at the week in sports from my sometimes unique perspective. We got a lot to talk about this week. A little bit of a tease there at the beginning, mixing things up. The first thing, of course, there at the very end was Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, of course, making fun of American football and the rest of the world football, jokingly, in good humor, of course, reminding everyone that our football, no one cares about in the rest of the world, probably. But they do a lot of work here in the States, so I'm sure they've at least picked it up a little bit, I hope. But yeah, that was on Patrick Stewart's Twitter this morning. He's a great guy to follow, for sure. They're always very entertaining. So anyway, let's get right into the actual real sports content. A lot going on this week, of course. Obviously, the big game, the Super Bowl. It's Sunday. Still sticking with the pick of the Seahawks. It's going to be a final score. I'm going to say 27-24 in favor of the Seahawks. Let me break it down now, why I think the Seahawks are going to win. First off, you look at it by position. Denver has better kickers, but Seattle has better returners, especially if Percy Harvin is back here taking kickoffs and Golden Tate taking punts. The offensive line, I'm going to give a slight edge to Denver, but just because they made No Sean Moreno look good. But I really think that the running back position is obviously beast mode. Marshawn Lynch, you can't stop the guy. And so even though there's a slight edge to Denver's offensive line, Seattle's has nothing to shirk at either. And so Marshawn Lynch, combined with that, definitely a force to be reckoned with. QB, Peyton Manning, obviously head and shoulders above Russell Wilson, at least at this point in their careers. But then the defensive side of the ball. And this is where I think the game is going to be decided. Seattle's defense is just too much for Denver to handle. Their defensive line and their linebackers, or their front seven, definitely far better. And then secondary, yes, Denver has Champ Bailey and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, and they are not to be, underestimated. But I think as a whole, Earl Thomas and, Richard Sherman and all of Seattle's secondary is slightly better there. So as a whole, though, the defense of Seattle is going to give Peyton fits. Not to mention, even though the weather prediction is clearing up, saying it might be in the high 30s to low 40s around kickoff, and it'll be clear, that's still a lot colder than Peyton likes to play in. I think Seattle will have an edge, both on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to take advantage of the weather. And I think that you're going to see Peyton be absolutely stifled by the Seahawks defense. And I think they're not going to score more than the whole playoffs. They've scored 26 points is the most they've scored. 26 and 24. I think they score only 24 again. And I think Seattle takes home their first Super Bowl trophy. So, a couple of the key storylines. Obviously, I mentioned before, Percy Harvin could cause Denver's secondary fits. Not a lot of recent tape on him. Mentioned the weather. I think Russell Wilson's going to have a really good game, actually. I think that even though Peyton's a better quarterback overall and will have very good numbers, I think Russell Wilson, compared to his first two playoff games this year, will probably put up the best game of the year for him in the playoffs. And then, you know what? Honestly, another thing that you have to remember with Marshawn Lynch, if Seattle runs the ball a lot, especially again in the weather situation, if it should change and it should start to rain or snow, I think Marshawn Lynch gives Seattle a huge advantage. They can control the clock, and they can control keeping Peyton Manning off the field. So, Seattle 27-24 is my final prediction. Here we go. Moving on now into the world of hockey, because why not? We got other things to talk about. There's other sports going on. My New York Rangers swept the Stadium Series, at least the two they were involved in, beating the Devils 7-3 after a 6-goal offensive explosion. 6 straight unanswered goals by the Rangers, including a pair by Matt Zuccarello. And then they beat the Islanders 2-1 in a nail-biter. Came down to the last second. Really thought the Islanders had a couple of good shots, but it looked like somebody missed it. I can't remember if it was like Oso or Tavares missed the net there with about 20 seconds left. Rangers came away with a close one there. And yeah, it snowed during the New Jersey game. It was everything you could want from an outdoor game at Yankee Stadium. And honestly, the only good thing that happened for the Islanders was they brought their ice girls. Because honestly, if you're going to a hockey game to watch the Islanders, you need something to cheer yourself up. So definitely, good on them for bringing the ladies out. Mind you, they're Long Island girls, so it's not really that great. It's not like the New York Knicks City Dancers. At least they're good to look at, but then you got the Knicks. So you're you're really screwed there too. So that's why teams have cheerleaders, because usually they're really, really bad and they need to draw something to help keep the fans there, and that's usually one of the ways to help. There's other things, sales, things like that. But yeah, in other hockey news, Ryan Callahan, captain for the New York Rangers, could be traded in the next couple of weeks before the Olympic break. Supposedly because he wants a 7-year, $42 million deal. That's $6 million a year for you math flunks out there, guys who have flunked math. So flunkies, I guess, would be the way to call you, flunkies. Supposedly the Blues and the Blue Jackets are the favorites right now. The Rangers have made a lot of deals with the Blue Jackets in the past couple of years. But the Blues, supposedly, a very interesting offer. Left winger Chris Stewart for Callahan straight up. Now, if you look at the two, Stewart's a bit more of a goal scorer. Callahan, of course, is a grinder and a playmaker and the heart and soul of the locker room. Really, I mean, that's why he's the captain of the Rangers, and they do play better with him on the ice. But Captain Callie's also been injury prone the last couple of years, really, and I mean, he's had 3 different injuries already this year. And the idea of an expiring contract, he's making $4.275 million this year, could be enticing for the Blues. They could also think maybe that they'll have the salary cap to sign him to the $42 million deal that he wants. It's possible. They have a lot of offensive firepower already. And mind you, Stewart's not having fantastic here. He's got 15 goals, 10 assists. Callahan's got 9 goals, 12 assists in 14 less games than Stewart. So Callahan's actually averaging more points per game. But I definitely think that it would be good for the Rangers because Stewart is under contract not only for the rest of this year, but also next year. He's making a little bit less than Callahan, $4.15 million, so about a little more than $100,000 less. Not big of a big salary hit there. And the Rangers could possibly think that they could sign Stewart to less next year, or they could let him walk then. Or nothing could happen and Callahan could just walk at the end of the year, and we don't know what's going to happen. But supposedly there's a lot of rumors going around that Callahan is on the trading block, so Ranger fans, I'm sure, are worried. This wouldn't be the first move the Rangers have made this season, of course, trading 23-year-old defenseman Michael Del Zotto for Kevin Kline for Nashville, because that, again, Del Zotto expiring contract was going to probably ask for a lot of money, whereas Kline just signed a very cheap contract for 5 years that the Rangers can hold on to for a while for a lot less money. Plus, with Vigneault, the coach's system, he has a better shot. He's a right-hander, and it fits better into the system. So, that's the hockey talk for this week. Again, obviously, I'm a Ranger fan. As I warned in the beginning, folks, it's going to be a little bit New York skewed. Obviously, we'll talk a bit more about other sports as it comes along. But also, the Pro Bowl happened this week. Team Rice beat Team Sanders 22-21, and that's about that game, because nobody really cares, because if you're like me, you weren't watching the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl is garbage. You were watching the Royal Rumble. Which, of course, was very interesting because now, supposedly, if you're a wrestling fan, CM Punk has left the company because he's frustrated. Well, left a lot of money in. Good for CM Punk for standing up for what he believes in. Bad for his checkbook. Also, Batista, as everybody really expected, even though they didn't want this, won the Royal Rumble. They brought him back for really just specifically to have a title run. He'll probably leave after SummerSlam, was what everybody was saying. Again, very much like The Rock. He's got a movie to promote. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. Look at me, I'm doing a Marvel movie. Ooh. Because I hated Batista when he wrestled the first time around, when he was actually consistent and actually deserved to have title chances. But yeah, the Royal Rumble. The best thing about it was that it makes a great case for the WWE Network, because I can't believe I spent $55 on that pay-per-view. Batista, as the crowd booed him for winning, infamously flipping all the fans off as he walked out of the stadium. A real class act there, Batista. Good things about the Royal Rumble. Sheamus came back from his shoulder surgery, as was suspected. NXT rookie Rusev had a nice showing. And the Shield's Roman Reigns opened up a lot of people's eyes. Really showed he could handle himself well, breaking Kane's 13-year-old record of 12 men eliminated in one Rumble. Kane had the record with 11 back in 2001. But yeah, and we talked wrestling because, it's not a sport, but it's kind of like a sport, and it's got a lot of drama and a lot of action, and even if it is choreographed. Anyway, so we got a lot done this week. We're running out of time. Real quick, as always, if you want to follow me, at Ray Carsillo. And until next week, folks, enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a great time. Be safe. Be happy. Go Seahawks. If Denver wins, whatever. But, I'm rooting for the Seahawks. And until next week, thanks so much for watching. As always, I'm Ray Carsillo.